I have tons of people, because I think I've been vocal and they see my results, right? They see the before and after, they saw it and they go, what did you do? Like, I have to know, like, it's something I'm super self-conscious about. So I love being able to just tell them, call HairClub, go for the free consultation. They'll show you the options, because they don't have to go down the path that I did of trying, like, if you think of all the solutions that there are for trying to combat hair loss, I did them. So the fact that I can just send people to HairClub and they can find a solution that works for them, I think is really cool.
Welcome to HairPod, the podcast where you get to hear real people talk about their hair journeys. I'm your host, Kevin Ralston, and each week I get to interview people from different walks of life whose lives have been touched by hair loss in some form or fashion. Many of our guests have experienced hair loss themselves and found a way to get their confidence and their hair back. Today, we're joined by somebody who has truly lived a life in the spotlight, Frankie Muniz. You might know him as the star of Malcolm in the Middle, Big Fat Liar, or Agent Cody Banks, or maybe you follow his current stock car driving career. Frankie has experienced a remarkable journey, but what many people don't know is that Frankie has faced his own challenges off camera, including hair loss. In this episode, we're going to dive into his personal experience, how it impacted his life, and the steps he's taken to navigate this journey with confidence.
I remember actually really early, like being 19 or 20 years old, when I always had thick hair. Like, I always had a lot of hair. Like, if you look at like the episodes of Malcolm in the Middle, or you look at even movies I did, you know, I'll look back and I'll go, how did I go from having so much hair and like 3 years later, I was really thin, to where I started the journey of looking for solutions, right? I started taking, you know, the medications and doing topical creams and laser hats and kind of all the things that I could. And I remember it just kind of continued to get worse and worse and worse. And I really didn't know what to do, almost to the point to where I kind of gave up on it. You know, I was tired of trying things that weren't helping the situation, and just made me more and more self-conscious about my hair. And it's not that I was self-conscious for like what other people thought. I know that might sound weird. It was like, for me, like, I found myself every time I was in front of a mirror, like checking it out, like, you know, looking down, like seeing it, like taking pictures, comparing pictures. So it's definitely something that, even though I try to say it didn't really affect me that much, it definitely did. You know what I mean? And now that I found a solution with HairClub, like, I can't believe I waited as long as I did to go there to feel the way I do now.
Yeah. Tell me where you were in life. At this age, what are you doing career-wise when you started to notice your hair loss?
I mean, I was still, I think, on the last season of filming Malcolm in the Middle. It's also when I initially started racing cars professionally. But I was always busy. I was always working. And I think maybe that's why, I don't know, like, I don't want to say it shocked me how I went from having hair to not having hair. Like, I didn't really notice it, like, until I noticed it. But maybe I was just so busy, like, kind of doing things. I also, you know, when you're on a movie set or you're filming, you have hair and makeup people, and they have little things that they might put in, or they might make your hair look thicker in certain ways. And, you know, when you're having your hair done every single day, like, you don't really have to worry about it that much. It wasn't until really, I think, Malcolm was just ending, and I started having to actually like comb my hair for the first time myself, as weird as that sounds. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And it definitely was like just a shock, you know, especially because I was young, you know, 19, 20 years old. Like, you just don't expect it, you know?
Yeah.
But then I was in it big time.
So when you're in a world where you are doing acting and you have hair and makeup people, do you have somebody then that's a consultant that can help you, that walks you through? Because I'm sure you're not the only person in Hollywood. In fact, I'd imagine we'd be stunned if we knew all the people in Hollywood, film and TV, that have hair loss issues and what they've done for it. So when you're acting on a TV show, you're doing movies and things like that, is there somebody there that walks you through to say, okay, here's what you do with your hair loss? Or were you like anyone else? You were Googling your own searches and trying to find your own path?
No, really, I didn't have anybody helping me. You know what I mean? I just kind of went down the path like I think most people do, is like, what can I do? I think I went to a doctor. The doctor put me on, is it finasteride?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Propecia. And to be honest, I actually had a really negative side effect to the medicine.
Oh,
So I couldn't
wow.
even be on it
Yeah.
that long before like I realized I can't take it. I
Mhm.
was kind of one of those, I kept hearing, oh, if you do this, like, yeah, there could be side effects, but it happens in 1 in a million people. Well, every one of those things like happened to me. I always couldn't like accept the side effects of what it was, whether it be the Propecia or even Rogaine, right? Um,
Wow.
I
Mhm.
even did a hair transplant. I had one full hair transplant done, I think in 2012, 2013.
Okay.
And I had like crazy shock loss. Like I was like the worst case scenario of like what could go wrong during a hair transplant, went through all that. So even like my before photos that like I've shared online, those are all like post every other treatment I had already done, right? That was me trying to do everything, like all the list of things that I thought were options, including having a
Mhm.
hair transplant. Those are my before photos, if that makes sense. So
Right.
that was,
Mhm.
I feel like if I hadn't even done those, my before photos would be even worse. But it's
Mhm.
shocking the difference of my before photos, which is post trying everything else, and then my afters, which is now as a hair club member.
Studies show that the side effects of treatments like minoxidil, finasteride, and hair transplants are very rare. And if you want some information on stuff about that, we will link a few specific scientific studies in our show notes. Unfortunately for Frankie, he was that lucky person that got hit with all the side effects, which had to be hard to deal with given how his hair loss was affecting his confidence. In Hollywood, there's an unspoken rule: nobody talks about it. Even when people find something that works for them, they don't usually broadcast it to the whole world. That's why Frankie is so outspoken. He wants others to know it's okay to talk about your hair loss and the path that you take to get your confidence back.
I think one thing, like for some reason, maybe it was just me, like in my world, I feel like people were like afraid to talk about it. Like it was almost not
Yes.
taboo, but like didn't really want to
Right.
kind of, it had to be this big secret of like, if you did have a hair transplant. I remember having one and like saying it out loud to someone, and people on the side would be like, hey, I had one too, but didn't want anyone to
Yeah.
know. Like it was some kind of secret, which I guess I get. Like if you have a procedure done, like maybe you don't want to share that you had it. You just hope
Mm-hmm.
to show the benefits of maybe having had it. I don't know. No, I really honestly don't remember having many people to talk to about it. Like maybe because I was also trying to be secretive, not secretive, but kind of keep it to
Yeah,
myself and just
I
trying to
know what you're saying
deal
though,
with
because
the issue.
yeah, people unfairly really get brutalized for any kind of treatment that they've done in Hollywood. People run with it. The tabloids are all over it. It becomes a big conversation, and it becomes what you're known for. And people can't get away from
Yeah.
the fact that okay, oh, you're right, yeah, Malcolm had a hair transplant, and that's the
Yeah.
whole narrative that people say.
It is. I think it's interesting because, we live, especially now, in a time where most celebrities, most people that you see on social media have tons of work and they don't
Yep.
hide it. But it's still a touchy subject when it comes to men talking about their hair. And it's
Hmm.
I think that's an interesting thing because, like, it's not something that you can help, right? If you're losing your hair, if you have issues like that, it's not like you did something wrong or, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's genetics. It's just kind of the hand that you were dealt. So I think that's why I'm so willing and open and want to share my story because I
Hmm.
want people to know, like, hey, it's okay to talk about it. I know how I feel post going to hair club, right?
Right. Right.
Like I
Hmm.
didn't expect it, to be honest. My wife, maybe you want to get into this later, but my wife forced me to go to hair club, and I was like, I don't care anymore. I was shaving my head, like picking it, like looked
Were
awful,
you
but I was like, it's
really?
just easier.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I went to that level where I was like, it is what it is. Like wear a hat, shave my head, it is what it is. But my wife really kind of forced me to go. And I remember
Hmm.
thinking like, okay, they're going to tell me stuff that I want to hear. And I had the free consultation, the initial consultation, and I went, all right, I'll try it. I'll try it. But I was so used to being kind of let down by the results of things that you spend a lot
Yep.
of money on, or you spend a lot of time or pain, like physical pain. So I kind of didn't have very high hopes, but I remember the moment that I got my system through Hair Club and I looked in the mirror and like it makes me emotional even right now. Like the
Hmm.
immediate gratification and the way I felt and the confidence I felt that moment, it was truly life changing. And like I said, that's a big reason why I want to talk about it. You know what I mean? Because I know what people are going through. Like maybe they're thinking with their hair, and the fact that they can do something like I did and maybe feel the way I do, it changed every aspect of my life. It made me more confident in everything from a work
Hmm.
standpoint, from a working out standpoint, everything. Because I wasn't caught looking in the mirror like thinking like, oh man, I felt good and I wanted to, I don't know, just be out there in the world.
What really struck me about Frankie was the passion that he brings to helping others on their hair loss journeys. It's so clear that even though he's a celebrity, hair loss became an isolating experience for him. He struggled with how he looked in the mirror, and he stopped feeling like himself, which is an experience that so many of us have already been through. When Frankie talks about that first moment where he got his hair system on, you can hear exactly where his excitement comes from. He went into that experience unsure of what to expect and was absolutely blown away when he finally looked in the mirror with his new system on.
So the first time that you got your hair system, it was just an unbelievable transformation for you that right away you fell in love, you loved the way that you looked, and it stuck.
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember being like just so shocked by it because, the results are basically immediate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to wait
Yeah.
for a long time. You know what I mean? Get it on and there it is, right? You have hair. And I remember just being so shocked. I did go through a small period where like it was just such a drastic change to me because I was so
Hmm.
used to looking in the mirror and feeling like, oh, dang, what can I do? And then I was looking in the mirror going like, who am I? Right? Like I just felt like a
Right.
different human. And I will say, like, I was not worried, but I was kind of curious what other people would think, right? People who knew me, my
Hmm.
family, my friends. And I remember being a little nervous going to dinner for the first time because, like, I went
Okay.
from being pretty bald to like having hair. And literally, everyone was like, man, you look good. Like, you've been working. Like, what are you doing? You've been working out to get a tan? Like, nobody could actually pinpoint it because, one thing I think people don't realize is like, when you fixate on something or you see something, you think
Hmm.
everybody else might notice that thing. But like not everybody looks in the mirror or sees you every single day, right? And
Right.
like
Right.
even my mom was like, "Wow, like you look great. Like what did you do?" And when I told her, she couldn't believe it. They were just shocked, everybody. And I think that was the kind of the coolest thing too is that I thought maybe it would be extremely obvious to
Hmm.
outsiders, but they really, like I said, like they couldn't pinpoint what was different about me, just that they thought I looked improved.
I love this point that the things that bother us about our own appearance may not be as obvious to somebody else. It drives home something Frankie mentioned before. He didn't really care what other people thought about his hair. Choosing to get a hair system was something that he did for himself. And because he's so open and talks about what he did so freely, people in his life feel comfortable asking him about what he did to achieve such great results.
I have tons of people because I think I've been vocal and they see my results, right? They see the before and after, they saw it and they go, "What did you do?" Like, I have to know, like, it's something I'm super self conscious about. So I love being able to just tell them, call Hair Club, go for the free consultation. They'll show you the options because they don't have to go down the path that I did of trying. Like, if you think of all the solutions that there are for trying to combat hair loss, I did
Hmm.
them. Every
Right.
one. I don't think there's one I didn't try. You know what I mean? And so the fact that I can just send people to Hair Club and they can find a solution that works for them, I think is really cool. I don't know. I loved having people talk to me about it and ask me questions and see the disbelief on their faces when I tell them what I have or like what I did. You know what I mean? People just can't believe that it's not. I mean, it's my hair, but you know what I mean? It's not my
Yeah,
hair. Does that make sense?
I got to tell you, your energy about it is very contagious. And I've seen the videos that you've put out for Hair Club and you speaking about it. And I think it's really amazing that you're so bold and you're so open because there really are people and how it affects people's self esteem. You've been on the other end of it, that you think the whole world notices and your self confidence does take a massive hit. And the way that you feel after you find your solution, whether it be a hair system or whether it be something else, it truly is life changing. And so I think that's really awesome. I just want to talk to you today about your own personal journey. It's interesting to hear how many failures you had on the path. And because you have a great wife, she didn't let you give up and she finally got you there across the finish line.
Yeah, she's funny because she was always like, look, it doesn't bother me that you have thin hair, balding, whatever. And she's like, but I see how much it affects you. And
Yes.
like I said, I had given up. I tried one more solution or one more thing that I thought was going to work. It really didn't. And I was like, look, I don't care anymore. Shave my head. And she was talking about it with her hairstylist, who was like, set him up for a consultation at HairClub. And so my wife did it. And I remember her telling me, I was like, no, like, I'm not wasting time. I'm not doing it. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to tell me the same stuff, that they can have this magic solution, and we're just going to be let down. And so I think I actually canceled the first consultation. She's like, just go. She like drugged me in there, and best decision I ever made. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly, like, I know it might sound cliche, like, and it really changed every aspect of the way I feel about everything. Like, it gave me the confidence to, even like, as dumb as it sounds, like, I went back racing. It gave me the confidence to go back racing, as weird as that sounds. Like,
Really?
I don't know. I just felt like I could do it. Like, I felt like, I think I had kind of crawled almost in a hole a little bit, you know what I mean? And kind of just stayed away from the acting stuff, stayed away from kind of like putting myself out there. And I don't know, like, I hate to admit that almost, but I didn't realize it had such a big effect on me in a negative way, my hair, until I had the positive feeling after going to HairClub, right? And having a solution.
Yeah.
Because every aspect of my life changed. So yeah.
Losing your hair is more than just a physical change. It's an internal journey. It can make you want to hide, isolate yourself, and avoid the world. The emotional toll can be overwhelming, making you question how you see yourself and how you see others. We want to thank Frankie Muniz for showing us that there are options out there for everyone, and encouraging anyone who's tried everything not to give up hope. Because it's not just about getting your hair back, it's about getting yourself back. When you feel good about the way you look, it can give you the strength to step out of the shadows and embrace life with a renewed sense of self. It's about living your life with confidence, no matter what challenges you face. Frankie's journey reminds us that while the road may be difficult, the destination is worth every step. For more inspirational stories and words of wisdom from people who have been through hair loss, make sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening to another episode of HairPod. Check us out at HairClub on Instagram or search HairPod on Facebook to continue the conversation. If you know someone who could benefit from hearing this episode, we would love it if you would share it with them. If you're enjoying the show, consider leaving us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. We also have a website. Check it out by going to podcast.hairclub.com. We're here to build people up and to share real stories so people experiencing hair loss feel a little bit less alone. And when you share, review, and subscribe, it helps us do just that. So thank you. Until next time.